Hello, this is Cat Computers, and today I finally have the second video in my new computer series, where I will finally be installing the operating system and also some desktop applications. So let's get into it. So right now we've got this sort of situation, which makes sense because I haven't actually installed anything yet. So today I'll be installing what's on this flash drive right here, Linux Mint.
Now, I'm a die-hard Windows user, but with Windows 10's demise in the horizon just a few years away, and my distaste for Windows 11, I figure I might as well give Linux a try, especially since I'm probably going to make myself switch eventually. So I chose Linux Mint, and that's mostly because it's kind of just the default Linux that I throw on computers when I occasionally need it, and so I'm the most used to it. Also, Linux Mint has a reputation for being popular among Windows users who have recently switched to Linux, which I guess is why I originally got brought to it. I chose the Mate version instead of Cinnamon, not really sure why, but I'll see how that goes. I then set off to install all of my daily applications that I use all the time. Took me a while to figure it out, but now everything is working.
So here's my current desk, and this is where the new computer is going to go, of course. But I'm not just going to cut and paste the two computers and call it done, because this place is a mess. Well, my desk is a mess especially, and well, that's kind of a good thing because I'm an engineer, and if my desk isn't a mess, it means I'm not getting anything done. But it would be nice to clear it off every once in a while. The main problem is this room and this whole house is terribly dusty. I mean, look at that. So it would be good to just clean the place rather than declutter it. And I'm going to get this whole row. In fact, I've already started here with this dresser, and I'm going to work my way this way. So let's get on with that. So while I'm back here, I'm going to replace this outlet and cover. Now, there's nothing wrong with the outlet itself, but I don't like the cover. One of these outdoor hinged weather door versions was put in a few years ago for reasons, and it's neat and all, but it's annoying because for one, you have to have two hands available to plug stuff in, one to hold it and one to plug the thing in, which isn't always easy, especially since this is wedged kind of behind a dresser usually. And also, I can't plug certain things in, such as wall warts, because the door's in the way when you have it open like this. So I'm going to be replacing it with a GFCI. Now, I would like to have put a dual function breaker down at the electrical panel so the whole section of my room could be protected, but those dual function breakers are pretty expensive. This little plate right here only costs about $4, and this is a pretty fancy one without screws. And this GFCI receptacle I already had sitting around, so I'm just going to go ahead and install it. So I can't even get the screw out without it being problematic. Oh, this is a bit messy. Oh, look at this. Look at this. They did that back wiring that you're not supposed to do. Or at least you can, but it's not very good. Well, you're going to have to strip some insulation off. Now, the GFCI has a connection for a line and a load, and I don't know which one's which, so I'll hook it up and find out. Alright, here's the old one. I had to snip the back wires off because they're a bit annoying. Anyway, now you'll see these have push-in, but they're not like the push-in on here. On here, you just push it in, and it's got little metal contacts that grab onto it. but those metal contacts don't always grab onto it too well. On here, you push it in and then you have to tighten this down and it will actually pinch the wire and make a solid contact. So these ones are more recommended to do the back wiring than these older kinds, but usually the best thing you want to do is just use the screws. But because the sun's starting to go down, I'm going to go through the back. But this is a much more trusted system. One other feature on some of these, you can see there's a notch right here. This shows you how much you should strip off. So I stripped off this much exactly on the live. And of course this is for if you're sticking it in like this, you gotta have quite a bit of wire going in to make full contact. Alright, so there I have the outlet fully installed. Get that upright. Now, because I don't know which of the two is the line and which is the load, I'm going to turn it on as it is now and do some testing, make sure I have them right way around. If I do have it set up right, that should mean that I'll have a few other outlets in my room that will be GFCI protected, which is good. I mean, it's not like I have a bathtub and a toaster that I use in here a lot, but it's good to have that just in case. Now, of course, you'll notice that it's not doing anything, and that's because it's already tripped, because I was messing with the buttons before I installed it. But you can see there is a little light on right there, so it's getting power. So let me go reset it. Okay, there we go. So we're getting proper 2 greens. And I just saw a light on the other side of my room come on, which means that I have the load connected up right. Now these testers have a little test button on them for GFCI, so I'll push it. There we go, it tripped. So that means I have a whole room protection, or at least half of my room. The other half's on a different circuit. And even though I've tightened the terminal screws on the side down pretty good, it would be a good idea, just for good measure, to stick a bit of electrical tape surround it on the side here, which this could easily be removed for future electrical work, but it will kind of cover up the live contacts, which are kind of sticking out the side, which is not very good. There we go. Anyway, I'm just going to pop this on. Alright, there we go. So anyway, back to the regular programming. So now it's nighttime. I've taken the curtains off. I've pretty much cleaned everything over here. Now the desk, I just put back together, and the reason it took me so long is because I made some hardware changes. Now you see it's made of 3 parts, the top and the 2 sides. And normally the top just sits on top, which is a problem because it slides around. So what I've done is I put some brackets here and here, and now it's just one whole desk. So now I gotta put all of this mess back together. Alright, so this is a good look at the side that I didn't show in the last video. I did cable manage a bit, it could be worse. So originally I wanted to wait till the very next day to record the computer in nice bright daylight. Well, that next day turned into a few days later. And that's partly due to laziness, but that's good because now I can talk about having used the computer for a while. So yeah, I've used it for almost a week now, and I'll say my experience has been pretty good with Linux Mint. I've become very acquainted with the user interface. Pretty much all of the daily applications I use all the time were able to be installed fairly easily. I hesitate to call myself a Linux user. This is mostly an experiment to kind of see how I like Linux, and I definitely haven't done anything advanced, like installing anything in the terminal or anything like that, but so far I've liked my experience. As for the performance, it's definitely majorly better than my old one. Just booting up the computer, getting to the desktop, and opening applications is millions of times faster. And some could argue that's because Linux is better with that sort of thing than Windows, or Windows is bloated, and that is true, but after having installed a new Windows installation, sometimes that could be pretty quick as well. But this, I've put all my usual junk on here, and it's still moving pretty quickly, just like this engine here. This is one of the many screensavers that comes with Mint. I don't know if this is a Mint thing or specifically a Mate thing, but I like it. It's got a billion screensavers. This is one of them. It's an engine. It shows a different engine every time. This time it happened to choose a 4-stroke V10. Now, what about the specific performance aspects of this computer? Well, I hate to say it, but I think I'm going to turn that into a part 3. The production of this particular video has been going on for weeks now, and I kind of want to be done with it. But also, I've recently bought, they haven't showed up yet, some upgrades. I got more RAM, and I got a slightly better CPU for this computer. And reasons as to why will be discussed in that video. But what I'll do is I'll give the performance feature of this current computer, then I'll discuss and install the upgrades when they eventually arrive in shipping, and then I'll do a before and after comparison of the performance. But anyway, I'm going to say that's it for this video, so hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.